So I do wish you all luck as you move forward, and I look forward to hearing about your successes as you move on. I really struggled as to what I was going to talk about tonight. I've had the opportunity to give lots of speeches over my career, and I don't like to rehash the same thing over and over again. And one of the things we were talking about in the office today is we were talking about fairy tales. I said, wow, that inspires me. And I said, so what kind of fairy tale could I talk about that would tie in to leadership? Now, fairy tales are more than just, Grimm's fairy tales. You have superhero fairy tales too. So I thought about, wow, what better image to talk about in terms of leadership than Captain America? But then I just, looking into Captain America a little bit, and I said, do I really want to talk about somebody who was successful because of steroids? So I said, no, I don't want to go there. And then we were standing over there talking, and my wife brought up, hey, we're going to see Beauty and the Beast this weekend. I said, wow, there's a leadership lesson in that. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, how's there a leadership lesson in Beauty and the Beast? Now, I have not seen the movie version of this, but I have seen the cartoon. And as a matter of fact, it is my oldest daughter's favorite cartoon. Amen. So I've seen it many, many times. Now, in all fairy tales, you have your protagonist, the person that you really get behind, that you want to succeed. And this protagonist has to go through some type of turmoil and has to potentially overcome some villain in order to have their happily ever after. So, if we look at Beauty and the Beast, we have our protagonist, Belle. And at the beginning of the cartoon, so I can only talk about the cartoon, so hashtag possible spoilers, okay? If you haven't seen the movie. But it opens up with our protagonist going down the street and singing and reading and really doing a lot of things that show that she is a happy, very, jovial kind of person. But what you also get from that is she's doing some things that she's not supposed to be doing for that time period. And it becomes evident later. She's reading books. How dare she read books? We're soon introduced to the antagonist, the villain, the very dashing Gaston. He makes it very clear that he wants to woo Belle. He wants to marry Belle. He wants to make sure he puts Belle in her place, which is in the kitchen and having children. And definitely not reading books, right? So the first leadership lesson that we get is right here from Belle. Belle is a disruptive thinker. Belle is going against the grain. Belle is looking at the future, bettering herself. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. And from a leadership perspective, from an Air Force perspective, we need disruptive thinkers, and we need them at the frontline supervisor level. We need folks who are willing to challenge the status quo. Just because we've always done things a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way to do things, and it definitely doesn't mean it's the best, most efficient way of doing business. We need disruptive thinkers who will challenge the status quo, and that's what Belle is doing. So we fast forward a little bit through the movie, and through dire circumstances, Belfast is captured by the Beast. And at first it looks like the Beast is another antagonist, and then we can see why. He's big, hair, he's got horns, not a very nice looking person. We soon find out that the Beast, unfortunately, is in this position because of some very poor decisions he made as a young man. I won't spoil all of it for you. But Belle, through self-sacrifice, tells the beast that, let me take my father's place. I will be your prisoner. And while that's a leadership lesson in and of itself, that's not, to me, the most important thing. What's most important is what happens after she becomes the beast's prisoner. See, if you watch the cartoon, they argue a lot. They don't understand each other. They fight, they disagree. But through all of that, they start to communicate. And all that communication boils up into this great little dance number that they have in the ballroom. I will never forget it because I had to buy my daughter that dress. But that's the second leadership lesson that we get from Beauty and the Beast. Communication is key. Building relationship is key. You can't lead airmen if you don't communicate. You can't lead airmen if you don't build relationships. When I was a young airman, I was not a good airman. As a matter of fact, it's amazing that I made senior airman only once. Well, y'all don't talk about it. But I had this great supervisor that I'll never forget. My first supervisor in the Air Force. And he would hold me accountable. And when we first started working together, we were not communicating. We came from different generations. This dude walked in every morning. He was like, and this is when we wore blues 4 days a week. Y'all don't remember that. Well, maybe some of you older people do. 4 days a week, he blues, completely starts. Why don't you shoot something? Oh, no. We've all heard that, right? That's the go-to answer, right? But he would sit there and he would talk to me. He would say, listen, maybe you don't want to shine your shoes, but let me tell you why you need to shine your shoes. Because it's not about your shoes. So he opened my mind by taking the time to sit down and build a relationship and communicate with me. Hashtag I was never really good at shining my shoes to begin with. So thank God for poor friends. So we move on. We have built relationship. We have got communication. Fast forward to the end of the movie. At the end of the movie, the evil antagonist Gaston is on his way to do very bad things to the beast. Now remember, Belle and the beast have built relationship. They actually care about each other and what happens to one another now because they have this relationship. In order to defeat Gaston, the evil antagonist, remember this is a fairy tale, right? So everybody knows how to do graphics. So the antagonist has to be defeated. The only way they can defeat the antagonist is to work together. And that is the third and probably most important thing. In order for our organizations to move forward, we've got to team with one another. When I came into the Air Force, and my first introduction to a staff sergeant was Staff Sergeant Mon. He was my TI. I'll never forget it. He came in, and this is when we had our pickle suits, right? We were all in green. He comes in, bang the trash can. That was my introduction. To me, staff sergeants were gods, right? Staff sergeants were the be-all, end-all. If the staff sergeant said, do it, you did it. That carried on from basic training to technical school, where my instructors were staff sergeants. And when they said do something, we didn't question, we did it because the staff sergeant was in charge. I get to my first duty station. Staff Sergeant Ivan Shakora, my first supervisor in the Air Force. I will never, ever forget him. To me, he was a god. Because when he walked into the room, he owned it. Because he was a staff sergeant. Now, there were technical sergeants and master sergeants and senior master sergeants, and Lord, you did not want to talk to the chief. Okay? Because if you talked to the chief, you were probably in trouble. It was a different Air Force then. But throughout all of that, starting at basic training, through technical school, through my first duty assignment, and all through my career, the one constant that my supervisors have taught me and instilled in me is the value of teamwork. My staff sergeants would work with me. They would help me. They would guide me. They would correct me. But they were always there to demonstrate the effectiveness of teamwork. We've lost a little bit of that. As we've grown up in the Air Force and we've gotten smaller and all these things that have happened, we've lost a little bit of that. People say that staff sergeants don't have power anymore. That's wrong. Folks say we have to empower staff sergeants. That's wrong. I go back to my little brown book. It tells me all the powers that a staff sergeant has. They haven't changed. So for folks in here that are in the leadership, let me tell you what we need to do for our staff sergeants to succeed. We need to get the heck out of their way. We need to give them opportunities to lead. We need to give them opportunities to, dare I say it, fail. Because it's okay. Because they're going to learn. I asked the class at the very beginning, why do you want to lead airmen? That's a question I don't think they've ever been asked. It's not how are you going to lead airmen? It's why do you want to? Through the last several weeks, you've had an opportunity to work with an outstanding staff at the Airman Leadership School who have given you all a solid foundation upon which to build. But I told you, as good as that staff is, they cannot teach you how to lead. Nobody can. They can give you the foundation, they can give you the principles, they can give you the theories. But much like Belle's journey in Beauty of the Beast, to get to the end, you gotta take the journey. And it's a journey only you can take. Congratulations to all 45 of our graduates tonight. 45 in, 45 out. That's what I love to hear.
That's awesome.
You got here because you practiced the principles that I talked about tonight. You communicated, you were disruptive thinkers, and more importantly than anything, you worked together as a team. Carry that with you as you move forward. This is your Air Force. And I think my peers would agree that we want you to start owning it. And with that, thank you for having me here tonight. Hopefully I didn't put you to sleep. And hopefully I didn't give you too many spoilers from the movie. I won't know until I go see it. But thank you very much, and everybody enjoy this evening.